for it. Okay. Hello. It looks like I have one viewer there. Oh, interesting. Skip ahead. So I have about a 5-second delay in what I say to what you hear it. It actually looks like it might be even a little less today. I'm just gonna update. I did end up having to do the stream a little bit differently because it was being weird and did not like my setup that I had. So I'm just dropping a link in the chat on the other video to this one real quick. Gonna check real quick and see. Okay, nothing in. I'm trying to keep an eye on the Slack a little bit, or the IRC, and I'm going to also update this link in the Trello board. And then we'll go ahead and get started. Okay. How's everyone doing this morning? Okay, so I'm gonna start recording, and so what I did for this is welcome to the live-ish install of Koha Devbox for Koha online Koha-thon, or no, Koha Hackfest this week. And what I did was yesterday I did the first part through downloading the repo and recorded that because that can take a really long time, so I didn't want to do it live. And so I have a video over here. That's what you're seeing right now. And oh, it just turned the volume back on. Okay. I don't have the sound on it. I'll just kind of talk about what I'm doing and maybe pause. If you have questions in the chat, I see them right away. There's like a 5-ish second delay or so. Okay, and welcome everybody. So this is the very first thing that you have to do is go to the GitLab's Koha Devbox, and I'll put that in the chat, and I'll make sure it's in the description later. And for that, oh, it looks like maybe you're further behind than we thought yesterday. Yesterday we were doing testing and it was like 5-second delay. It's looking like it might be closer to 10-second delay from what I'm saying. When I say it till you see it. So on the Koha Devbox wiki, I'll just put that over here, or Koha Devbox GitLab over here. It talks about has instructions for doing an install, and it has what you need to install to start. So you need VirtualBox, Vagrant, Ansible, unless you're on Windows. I didn't need to install Ansible because I'm on Windows, and Git. And then what you do is you open up the git bash command line, and that's what this is. So this is showing me on my computer is called Crookshanks because all my computers and stuff are named after Harry Potter characters. And oh, that didn't even work. Okay. Let's see there. Interesting. Okay. So once we get to here, what we're gonna do is we're going to, I'm probably talking about the dependencies. I was gonna just play the audio, but then I decided it would be better to, oh, there we go. Do it this way. So make directory, git, and change directory into git. That just makes a new folder and changes you into it. Then the next command is git clone the repository that I linked. https://gitlab.com/koha-community /devbox.git. And then that'll clone the Devbox package into here. Then the next thing that we're going to do is change directory into Koha Devbox. And then we're going to copy within the Koha Devbox folder, there's another folder called vars, which just has some documentation. So then you can do vars/user.yml.sample space vars/user.yml, and that's going to copy the file called user.yml sample into a new one in the vars folder called just user.yml, and that's going to put some of the information that we need. And I'm going to turn my webcam off because it's distracting me. I keep seeing myself and it's mirrored, so I'm turning that off for now. And then, so that just copies, it's basically a little text file. And then we're going to do vim vars, when I spell it correctly. Vim is the text editor that is built in to the Koha Devbox setup. And it looks like this. All the things that are hashed have that hashtag at the beginning. You don't need to mess with. It's just these. There's just 4 that I'm going to mess with here. You have to hit I to go into like edit mode. It's called insert. And then you can use the arrow keys to navigate. And so you delete the hashes in front of get email, get full name, BZ user, BZ password. You'll put in your email instead of your email in both places, or instead of like where it's typed out, your email in both places. And your full name will go into the quotes, inside the quotes. My streaming program gets a little bit weird about Git bash in particular for some reason, or about in particular the text editing parts, and sometimes it looks a little funny. And then I am just going to move it up so you can't see my password when I put it in, because that is my password for Bugzilla, so that when I go in and do edits in Bugzilla, it will be associated with my name. And then once you are done making edits, you hit escape. And then :write quit, that will save and quit. Okay. meant to do. Okay. So, that'll bump us back out into git bash. Right quick in the Devbox master though. Okay. So, after that, you want to do Vagrant Up. So this is the command that will actually start booting up the Devbox, and this is usually where I run into my first problems. I have done this a number of times on work computers. I've tried on my home computer before. On my old home computer, it turned out it was not compatible. So there are a wide array of problems that can occur, and we do get a couple here as well. So it's downloading Stretch, which is a Linux installation. Okay, I did some resizing there in the video. So it's just downloading some stuff. I'm going to click through a little bit of it to go faster because downloading things takes a little while. So more downloading. Okay, so now it's waiting for the machine to boot. That can also take a few minutes, so we'll just... Okay, so there was a problem. I was unable to mount VirtualBox shared folders. That's because I did not install the VB Guest plugin. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. Vagrant has plugins system that you can install. So we do Vagrant space plugin space install Vagrant dash VB Guest and hit enter. And it will run the installer for that plugin in particular. And it did install. So the next thing I'm going to do is Vagrant provision, which is just the up was interrupted basically, how I understand it, and if I'm told differently, I'll go in and put a comment in the description about it. So that's my next problem. Playbook does not exist on the guest, vagrant/site.yml. So I have a little reference sheet which will be shared later. I have to vagrant halt for this next process to work rather than a provision. It's got to totally start the up from the beginning. And so I shut down the box, and then I go into my users, me, git, koha devbox, into the actual folders, and I've got to edit the Vagrant file. I'd usually do it in Sublime Text on my computer, but Notepad also works. This is my reference sheet that's in progress and should be up on the koha-US website, hopefully by the end of the month or early next month. So what we're going to do is find, like here's the VirtualBox, what we need to do. Playbook doesn't install, or doesn't exist, so we need to do Vagrant synced folder default type with 2 quotes into the end of the Vagrant file. Some of this stuff I found just from, and I messed up there and forgot to put a double quote, so I'm just going to jump forward to when I fix that. Then I Vagrant halt and Vagrant up again. But some of it was found from like issues on the Devbox issues page. Some of it was found from just Googling, like, if I'm doing a thing in Vagrant and it gives me this problem, what do I do? So all of that is important. Just it's from a lot of different places. And some of it's from like asking in the IRC, hey, I'm having this weird thing going on. So then it's gonna up, and now it's downloading and installing a bunch of Debian stuff. It's installing additional modules, installing guest editions, building modules for kernels. So it looks like it was already provisioned, so I have to run Vagrant provision. It got a little weird because it told me to do the dashes and then didn't actually want me to do the dashes, so weird. But oh, I walked away for a minute there. So now it's installing Ansible and pip for the Ansible installation. And now this is all running the installation. It's downloading all the stuff that it needs to download. And this part takes a while. This is part of why I did it in advance. You know, some of the other stuff I've skipped through that I recorded yesterday to speed up the downloading, but the cloning the repository takes a really long time. I was gonna wait until everything was done yesterday when I was doing the recording, but it was actually taking up too much of my computer RAM to clone the repository and to do everything, and to record the video and to do the work I was doing, so I ended up ending there. So let me just open up OBS real quick and shut off the display there. Okay, so this is back to Bash after everything's installed. So we got through installing, let's see, it was like downloading the repository here, and then it did all of these other things, installed some things that are dependencies, and then let me move this up because it's doing the thing again where it only shows part of it. So then I ended up halting the Devbox last night because in case my computer restarted overnight, I wanted it to still be not kill my machine. So I halted it, and now we just have to bring it back up again real quick. That first time is really the longest time. The rest of the times it shouldn't take too long to come up once you Vagrant up. But of course now I said that, and now that I'm doing this, and since I didn't do this in advance, it's probably going to take a while because problems. How's everybody doing today? Well, while we wait for this to work. And I am watching the chat, and I'm keeping an eye on the IRC, but I have a lot of tabs open, so mostly I'm looking at the YouTube chat and what I'm actually doing right now. I may have made a mistake by not bringing this back up before the stream started. And it does check for updates whenever you bring it up. Oh, and see, now it wants me to provision again. Which is weird because I had halted it. That's not something I've run into before. Did I spell that wrong? No, that looks right. Where it's having that kind of problem, but let's see. Let's go back into the YouTube. I'll bring up my next steps on the other screen over here while that loads. If you can hear my cat in the background, I'm sorry. He wants attention all the time, but he always wants me to come to him. Like right now, he is on his cat tree across the room, and he wants me to come pet him over there. So, oh, see, and that's interesting because now it's doing some of that seems. I don't remember if it usually does this. A lot of times I'll Vagrant Up and then go work on my other stuff real quick. It might just be checking for updates. Or it might just be checking, oh, is everything still going as it should be? So this is going pretty fast, just okay, yeah, it's just checking. Well, actually, while that thinks, I'll show you a little bit of my bar chart that I have. Or reference sheet. We're making reference sheets for, that's not it either. Koha-US Education Committee is making reference sheets. We have one up on our website that's just kind of a general, oh, that's not the right one. General introduction to some Koha stuff. So I'll bring that up on the stream now as well. I can tell my computer's starting to have some problems with everything I'm doing because even just switching, oh, that's not right. Switching tabs is a little bit slow. Doesn't like that I'm streaming and recording and into my desktop for checking email. All at the same time. Okay, so OBS Studio. We'll do display capture left. So koha-US website here, koha-us.org/learn. This is our first quick reference guide, Introduction to Koha, made by our wonderful Jason, our secretary. And again, loading a little slow because my computer's doing a lot of thinking right now. This is the quick reference sheet I've been making for Koha Devbox. I had a lot of this already bookmarked, or I had a Google Doc that was kind of my notes as I went. So this is what I've been following. Yesterday I was having trouble getting it to show up. OBS didn't want to capture it correctly. This should hopefully be up on our website pretty soon. But in here, I need to add that we also need to install Ansible if you're not on Windows. A lot of these commands can just be copy and pasted in, and I tried to explain what each command does. This is just the very first section. We're here. Our next thing once it's up is going to be to open the browser and actually go through the Koha web installer. And so let's see, here's the intro to Koha one that's up on the website that Jason made. It looks awesome. Links to, out to the community and how to get involved with the community. Just kind of what do these things mean in Koha? Because maybe you're coming from a different system that doesn't mean the same thing. So, lots of neat stuff there. Okay, So, looks like that's done now. So what we're gonna do is open up a new tab. We're gonna go to localhost 8080. And this should get us the Koha login page. I'm a little worried with how slow it's going that something has gone wrong. Well, that thanks. This is not great. So I'm gonna Vagrant SSH, which gets me into the back end, where I can actually edit files in Koha. So I can make sure things are there. This is a new problem for me, y'all. Lots of other stuff, I've had fixes for. Let me just double check on my reference sheet. But I do not remember this being a problem. So that has everything, it's got GetBZ, it's got Koha clone, so it exists. I'm wondering if something in my setup did something weird and set it to a different. Usually in here there's this is also part of why I left this open, but often in here there's information about, like 8080 should be the where we want to go. 8081 is usually the OPAC, but that shouldn't come up with anything since we are don't have the OPAC set up yet. Huh. Well, yeah, that's doing the same thing. Okay. Interesting. Now if I put that in, some of them are just saying localhost instead of localhost 8080. That's even weirder. What I might end up having to do is, let's see. Let me turn off display capture real quick. We'll just go back to here. Go back to the bottom here. Okay. 127. Okay. trying a couple things real quick. Oh. Nope, that one's not working either. So what I'm gonna do is actually go look in the VirtualBox settings, because it's possible that this is like a firewall issue or some such. Just real quick to free up some of the memory on my computer, I'm gonna stop the recording and then start the recording. The stream should be fine. I'm just also recording this on my computer because sometimes YouTube gets weird and doesn't. I've had a couple of times when it tried not to save my live streams. Okay. I've opened VirtualBox, but it doesn't seem to want to open. My computer is really struggling. Okay. I think part of it is I don't usually talk so much when I'm troubleshooting, but I'm trying not to just like be totally quiet for you guys. Oh. What I'm working on is I'm trying to get virtual so that I can check some firewall settings there and make sure that my yeah, see, I've got a lot going on. I don't need that anymore. Spotify and that's okay. I think it's probably a firewall issue because I'm kind of thinking I did have this problem before. But mostly right now it's that my computer is running very slowly because I had too many things open at a time. Let's see if I can get VirtualBox to open now. Oh, here. I'll turn on the capture again. Maybe, if it'll let me. Oh no. Thanks for cheering me on in IRC. It was doing this like a little bit yesterday, but then when I was just recording, but then I closed a bunch of programs and then of course opened them up because I was using them when I wasn't working, like music programs. So, okay, let's see. Why won't Vagrant or VirtualBox open? Yeah, that's the thing. All the settings are right, so I think it might be one of the when I tried opening it up in the wow, nothing wants to open. In the browser, it said it might be a firewall issue. So I was going to check my firewall, which shouldn't be that secure, and check my VirtualBox settings. I'm just start closing out of things I don't need, which for now I think is also probably going to end up being, oop, yep, okay. We'll close, oh no, why did that happen? Oh, my computer's just trying to open random programs now as I'm trying to close everything. Okay. And some tasks. We'll end that one. We'll end that one. Okay. Ended some tasks. Still have too much disk usage. Okay, now will it let me... Oh, now VirtualBox is asking if it can make changes to the computer, so that's interesting. It hadn't asked me that before. Hopefully that means it will open now. Still does not want to open. Gonna let an app through the firewall. See, it went too smoothly for me yesterday. Usually I have more problems when I Vagrant Up, and so I was actually a little surprised at how smoothly it went yesterday. But now that just means today had to have problems. Allow an app through the firewall. Okay. So that's running. Okay. Here's no. Okay. Well, my let's see, VirtualBox. Aha. Some of VirtualBox is allowed through, but not all of it. So that might be my problem. And I'm just gonna check real quick. See if there's anything else. No. I think maybe that might have done it. And then let me do one other. Okay, that shouldn't be giving me a problem. Okay. Now if I open up a Chrome window. Yes, the live demo gods strike again. You know though, one time at Coeur d'Alene I did a live demo doing a report, writing a report, and I had it all set up. I had good notes, and for some reason the report that I'd made, a week ago wasn't working properly, which seemed kind of weird to me. And I felt bad about it, that it didn't work easily. Hello, cat. You can get up on the chair if you want pets. Um, but the... Okay, no, that's still too slow. A bunch of people that I knew ended up... They were like really happy that it had gone poorly because all the other live demos had gone so well that they felt like people were wizards at it. And the fact that I had messed up meant... okay. Host adapter. Okay, that's just about the screen display. Well, okay, so here's what I do when I come across a new problem that I don't know how to solve. I Google it. VirtualBox can't access localhost. Let's see. I often go to Stack Overflow because they seem to explain it, even though this was originally asked like 10 years ago. Let's see. So that adds... Why doesn't VirtualBox the default router? Attach to from fridge detector to net. Oh my gosh, am I making a silly mistake? I bet I had to put in the HTTP. Except now it took it out again, so probably not. That would have been too easy. Too easy. Okay. Okay. Okay, so a thing about a host-only adapter, but I already have that. The command host name. Change my network settings to NAT. So I have both a host-only adapter and a NAT with port forwarding. So that's where it's supposed to be, that 8080. Guest port 8080. So that all looks correct. Maybe I have to, because I did have to change the settings on my firewall, maybe I've got to halt and then up again and close VirtualBox in between. Just try turning it off and on again, basically. Now that I've got it set up. Okay. We'll give that a second to have a try. That feels like it would be too easy, but to only have to try one thing. Okay. Vagrant Up. Yes, the live demos are always a little bit dangerous. Okay. Am I wrong? Has it been 8081 and I've been doing 8080? There's been too many differences, and I did that too soon. Because it's not done over here yet. Machine booted and ready. It says that, but it's not quite ready. Configuring and enabling some things, mounting the folders. Okay, let's see. :// localhost 80. Usually it comes up faster than this. Yes, turning it off and on again can solve so many problems. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it solved this one. So why won't you close when I keep closing you? I'm going to see, that's not firewall, so that shouldn't be blocking it. Okay, that's not it. Firewall. Let's just try. Localhost 8080. Oh, that's interesting. Now it's not even trying. Just on that tab. Weird. Still slow. Okay, so we'll go back to looking. Changing my settings to net. Just enter the default settings. Go into your VM, go to the host file, and add that. This is your. See, and there's not a browser in our host OS, so we can't do that. Then try to reconnect to the internet. Guess set to host only. Get an IP address and use that to access the web server. But we have it set to host only. Right. Network. Host only adapter. Do I have to somehow disable that NAT one? Except that's what's doing the port forwarding. Do I need to allow VMs to be Yes, Todd, I am planning on doing this at Kohathon again next month, so if we can't get this to work today, I can try to figure out some more problem solving before then. Works it? See, and like all that's set up. I guess this one says on the Linux box type I have config, but I don't know if we can do that from the SSH line, maybe? What'll it hurt to try? Oh, and again, even though I halted it, machine is already provisioned. Run Vagrant provision. Oh, I gotta read the messages better. But it is weird that it keeps doing that even when I've halted it. So let me actually exit back out to there. Working, I'm gonna laugh so hard. Trying to keep things closed out that I'm not using and won't need to be using. Yeah, Todd said in the chat, VirtualBox is at the point it requires a lot more study too. I know that a lot of people have been moving to Docker. I hadn't been able to find good instructions for the Docker, or else had problems, and I had some good instructions, then it hit a point where I was having problems and I couldn't find answers anywhere. And so I just kept working on this because I know it works. I don't know when that got moved over. But I remember at Portland, like Kyle was saying, that Docker is going to be a lot easier going forward. So it might turn out that that's what most people end up using at some point in the future. You know what? I'm actually just going to check too. So, I showed earlier my at current point reference sheet. This is notes from like a variety of Koha conferences. My very disorganized notes about this, including all my issues. So let's just make sure. Well, and this will get added onto my, oh, that turned out not to be a problem because I was just doing it wrong. And then once I figure it out, I'll put my notes in there and then add that to my reference sheet that I've got, and maybe, oh, of course, now when I was like, I can go do something else. Okay, looks like it's still not working properly. Well, yeah, I think that I'm probably gonna have to just sit and poke at this for a while I figure it out. I do have some more space to do additional sections here. Let's see. Yeah, because I have like dependencies, cloning Devbox, using local branches, how to apply patches, how to sign off on patches, little thing for the IRC in here, some troubleshooting. We already looked at this a little bit because I had to come get it for this one, or wait, yeah, for that one. I wanted to show the web install, but I'm just not sure we'll have time today. on guest OS. So that's connecting from the guest OS. Okay. We'll close that real quick. Sort it out in 1 minute, thanks to mapping the guest to host. Access log file. So Todd, that document's in the education, koha-US education thing right now. It's still a draft. I'm hoping to have it up sometime in the next week, before the end of the month. So for now, I had asked for feedback from a couple people who I know have also used the Koha Devbox a lot, and I have some empty space that I wanted to finish filling before I finalized it and put it on the website. I saw Jason did put one up on the website, his intro to Koha one that we had talked about at the koha-US education meetings, and it looks nice. And he also added some additional koha-US branding that it was prepared by the koha-US education committee, so we'll have to put that on mine too, but education hasn't met this month because of everything that's been going on. So I am going to check one thing. I'll probably have to end this in a couple minutes anyway, but files. No, not there. Machine stretch, VirtualBox. Notepad. Nope, that's not it. Right now I'm just kind of looking at some of the files, but I think I might also... So Vagrant SSH goes into the, being able to actually edit the files and such that Koha is on, and part of Linux. See, it has getbz, getify, Koha clone, DevTools, etc. Just from what... Does that work? Nope. Okay. Oh. Because someone had... Let's see, IP... Okay, no, I don't think that that'll be helpful. One of the pages that I was looking at had some information about, finding the IP, even though up here, way up here, it talks about, that's the SSH address. When I tried doing the, putting that in, oh, I don't know if that worked actually. Did that work? Oh, so that's the SSH. Let's just try real quick. 8080. No, this is frustrating. I guess what I should have done was open up the web installer yesterday and not run it, because then I could have tested more of this. But, that would have been... Bridged. see, but let's see. Log in, check if IF config. Oh, IF config. That's what that other website had said too. Okay, no. I didn't think that that would work in Bash, but just thought I'd check. Oh, fundraising didn't meet yesterday either. Yeah, I feel like all the settings, my firewall isn't a problem. VirtualBox. The settings in here seem to be correct, from what I can tell. Although it sounds like the NAT server might, like some of the places we're talking about that NAT wasn't great and that bridged adapter might be better. So I guess maybe what happens if I try that? No, I'm just, there's nothing like live problem solving to keep you on your toes. Too true. Oh, okay, wait. Nope, okay. Now it just refuses to connect. Network, bridged adapter. Net. Because that's what it was set before. Port forwarding. That's all. Adapter 2. Allow VMs. Is that all? Wait, stop and refresh. Waiting for localhost. Yeah, I think, unfortunately, because I have some other stuff I also need to do today. Man, though, I don't want to stop working on this. I want to just solve the problem. But access here. Okay. So, okay. I'm gonna try another thing that I found, which, let's see. Halt. Attempting graceful shutdown of VM. Okay. Settings. Network. Host only. Okay. Host only network. Nope, that's not the right place. That's okay, because there wasn't anything. File. Host network manager there. Properties. 192.168. That's probably because this is the, okay. That's true. Stopping is not giving up. I just don't have a whole lot of the things that I planned on working today. Only a little bit. Um, let's see. That looks right. Dang. Okay. So all the things that I found so far, this is the, I'm gonna have to just do some more troubleshooting, and maybe what I'll end up doing is trying to, figure it out, and maybe I will go live again if I figure it out today, because I was kind of hoping to have this all done before the code spaghetti tomorrow, so that if other people wanted to do code spaghetti stuff, they could. But sounding like we'll see. We'll see if that happens. But I think for now I'm gonna have to sign off and keep troubleshooting. See if I can find any weird notes, because I do. Some of the settings I was looking at using. Dave says, so many times I've come back later and generally find it is something relatively simple. Yeah, and it's like the problem didn't feel familiar to me, but some of the settings I was looking at felt familiar. So I might have had this problem before, and I might be able to figure it out. I'll make sure to make another little follow-up video when I figure it out, and then I can do moving forward from there. And now, see, I just feel like I stopped at the wrong place yesterday.